Katie, can you hear me? Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome. Great morning, good people. This is both call. You're in the right spot, don't worry. I did everybody together, but I didn't say this is gonna be one or the other.
I was gonna check it. I was for sure on the wrong one.
I did not want to intrude on lady space. Oh, somebody's having trouble. Always something. Did anybody have trouble getting into the meeting? Okay. See knows. All right. I'm gonna send out my normal reminder real quick. But welcome. Good to see you all, beautiful people. Any of my this is no offense to anyone, but any of my probably 35 to 45-ish-year-olds, for some reason I have
I'm here,
a
Jesse.
different rendition
46.
of Usher's Nice and Slow stuck in my head. And I was just like, yo, that was some, I know there was good music in everybody's genre, but man, I'm like, yes, that was a good music. Just selfishly, I've been playing R&B music in my house all day all week because my kids have been off the chain and trying to play anything that would not rile them up. Like, go to sleep, please. Yes. This is a joint call, a men's and women call. You are in the right spot. Don't worry. You are on. Yep. I know, Eric. I know you would appreciate that. Yeah, well, that's the thing, man. I gotta be in the mood. So like I'm learning I'm learning. When I need to like go work out, I can listen to certain types of music. When I need to like get moving, I can listen to certain types of music. And then when I need everybody in the house to just calm the heck down, I gotta just play certain types of music. And it works. It's crazy. And I've always known this, but I was pulling all types of stuff out of the bag this week and last week. So yeah, I'm excited. We're gonna give people a few minutes to jump on. You are in the right spot. This is a men's and women's call. Don't worry. That was on purpose. I will update you shortly, but it was a lot easier with Raylan's basketball schedule. Yes, I would put a big boy up against any rapper. Absolutely. It was so much easier with my daughter's basketball schedule to just do one call, see where we can go, and then re-engage. So we usually wait till about 8:05. I'm still gonna send out this manual reminder if I can remember. Almost there. Bear with me for 2 seconds. Oh, some people unsubscribed this morning. Oh, that's sad. I'm sorry. I really enjoy watching the data and people that will read emails, and when they get that one email that they don't like, they're like, oh, I'm not for you anymore, Jesse Ross. It's all good. But great morning. We're gonna give people a couple more minutes to jump on. Thank you for being here. And I can't figure out how to do what I was gonna do. So we're just gonna let it sit there. Oh yeah, thank you. I was gonna ask if I was supposed to do anything about that, so appreciate that. Okay. It's not technically 8:05, but whoever's here, we're just gonna be here. Well, first of all, great morning. Great to see. Oh, wait, I have to press record. I'm sorry. On my end. There we go. All right. Well, once again, great morning. Great to see you. Thanks for jumping on. So glad to see you. Is anybody, this is their first time on a call? Just want to make sure we got any newbies, any rookies. Yay, Angela, good to see you. Okay, Zach and like either throw it in the chat or come up here.
Morning, this is Ryan, and I think if you wanted to record, you
I can't hear you. Dang it.
Oh. Can everyone else hear me?
Is that just me though? Oh,
Yeah,
hold on, it's me.
Fine.
Wait a second. Should have tested that too.
Thanks, everybody.
Oh, welcome to the call. All right, try it now.
Can you hear me now, Jesse?
Yes, that was all me.
Excellent. I was saying you actually were recording earlier, so now you're not recording. I don't know if that was your goal.
No, it's recording. It
No,
says recording on my
you
end.
need to
Oh,
record.
you're right. My bad.
Yep, you're good.
Zoom changes things. I get confused. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Thanks for jumping on. Angela, thanks for jumping on.
Thanks for having me.
Are you in the Twin Cities or somewhere else?
Yes, I feel like Maggie, mompreneur Maggie introduced us. So this is my first time on the call.
Awesome. Well, thank you for jumping on.
Thanks for having me.
Is there anybody else new that's never been here? Jenny. Well, yes, but you know me, Jenny. Thanks for jumping on, Jenny. It's funny. I've known you and we've met, so I feel like you've been on the calls. But thank you. Okay. Anybody? I don't see any other newer names. Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Welcome to the Anti-Racism Conversations call. We took a break. I'll tell you why we took a break. I was just tired. Just flat out tired. You all know me. I'm a very transparent person. And so I will say, tired of trying to figure out how to, I'll just be very honest. I've been very tired of doing DEI work and not really seeing change. And so it wasn't anything directly related to you individually or collectively, but just saying like, hey, we got to figure this out. And I did kind of try to warn people like, hey, at some point we got to start shifting and moving. More importantly, my daughter, Raylan, started playing basketball, and Saturday mornings are typically, that's what life is filled with now, as some of you all know. And so today, one, she doesn't have any games, which is great. Two, it's February, happy Black History Month. And also, I felt like it was time to figure out, all right, where are we at? What are we doing? Where are we going? And so thought it'd be good to kind of, have a little family reunion, figure out how to make that work. So I have, for the last hour and a half, I have 4 books sitting next to me, 3 notebooks, and a whole list in my Apple Notes of stuff that I want to talk about. Clearly, we don't have enough time, but I was actually really not frustrated, but trying to figure out, okay, where do I want to focus the conversation and the call? And I'm going to start with kind of giving you an update about a lot of stuff. And then I would really love to get your feedback on where we're at. If I'm honest, and you know me enough to know, I'm very honest, I was actually really curious how many people were going to jump on the call. Let's just say there were 10 of us on the call. I would be like, yes, we would rock all 10. And then I would be like, this is it. That's it. We're gonna ride off into the sunset. We're gonna call it a day. I know that the individual conversations that I've had with some of you all, like, you want to continue these conversations. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I don't mind actually providing a platform for that. But I do know that 2 years ago, we started this with the hopes of moving from, let's just say, complacency to action. And I think everything should at some point come to an end or evolve. I also have been trying to figure out, okay, with the platform that I have and the season of life where I'm at, how do we move in this space? So collectively, we've had women calls, then we've had men calls, and then we've tried to do some stuff together. And I think all those things are good. And also now, what do we need to do? What needs to be done? How are we going to continue to make change? So that's just kind of like my hope, and get your feedback, and somehow we can get that. Okay, so and then you have to forgive me because my computer and my phone are not syncing up for whatever reason. So couple updates on me and my family. Our family is good. We are good. We stayed up way too late last night. We instituted this, kind of is important, but it is. We instituted this thing a really long time ago called family dinners. And it's like most people, you decide to do dinner with people that you like. And then, of course, in my world, there are some very kind of strategic or intentional people that we try to do dinner with, and specifically Black and brown folks, specifically folks that at least I guess are like-minded, but also who we are intensely trying to build relationship, accountability with, all these different things. And so we did that for almost like 7 or so years with a group of folks. Some of them moved to another state. And so we were kind of like, dang, that was really good. That was really stable. And then we were like, let's just kind of figure out how to do this. Why am I telling you this? One, because I know that typically in majority white communities, this happens without even thinking intentionally. And the more I talk about this, the more I started realizing, like, dang, people don't realize that people do this. Being in Minnesota, being in a space anywhere where you can be identified as the only or not part of the majority group, there's small things like family dinners that can become so communal and so intentional about how people create community, how people don't feel isolated, and how also people can affirm and connect with identities, social identities that they really, really value, but don't know how to kind of cultivate. So just in a very prime example, it's just super dope. And I know I'm not saying this in any offense, right? It's just super dope to get together with some Black folks who understand your world. And there's no like, I'm trying to impress you. I'm trying to, gain your friendship and do this thing. It's like genuine conversation, laughter, good food, whatever. And so, as I was talking to people about it, I realized that not everybody does that, or I don't know, it's just weird. So I was like, okay, cool. So I'm exhausted, to say the least. But also, we have a 20-year-old, we have a junior and sophomore, Raylan's in 6th, Jesse's in 4th, sorry, and Mark. And about maybe a year or two before the pandemic, I made a decision to be home as much as possible before 5 o'clock. And part of this was just, I just want to be present with my family more. And so the pandemic kind of just was like, yep, good decision. But also there's a trade-off in moving from all right, if I'm gonna be home at 5 o'clock, that means that there's a bunch of evening happy hours, activities, events that I'm gonna miss out on. And I don't feel bad at all. I don't feel bad at all. Um, because I think everything is supposed to be done in its timing. I say that because I'm also realizing that now I'm moving into the season where I might need to start going to some of these dang on happy hour events. And I don't love happy hour. So if we're ever in the same place and you see me and you're like, oh man, it's really good to see you. Trust me, there was an effort put together of me coming. Um, just thought I would throw that in there. So that's update on family. Me and Tyler are doing great. Doing some stuff at our church, trying to figure out. So I took a break. I was exhausted. With the DIY work, I'll kind of go back into that. You're probably wondering about the building. I will give you an update. We are really, really, really close, like March 15th, hopefully close to closing on the building, which is amazing and a freaking stressful project. I have tried to document as much as I can about the project and all of the nuances and the conversations and the people that have gotten on my last nerves and telling people I'm not taking no for an answer, all these different things. And I think we are moving. I mean, I know we're moving towards closing. It's just been a huge entity. And so I'm super excited about it. With that, and if you don't know anything about the building, buying this 68,000 square foot space, I just learned the other day that it might be the largest commercial property owned by a Black man in North Minneapolis, which is super dope. I'm definitely going to start telling that narrative. We got to do a couple of different researches, but so excited about that. We are basically securing like the investor portion, which is cash only. My priority was women and people of color first. Then my white guys, you can jump in. But it was really just saying, how do you make sure that you're not doing business with people that you don't know, that you don't like, that you don't trust, and people that are going to be building over, breathing over your back, the back of your neck. Erica, can you throw the link for the group after this and for the email and the survey and testimonial again? So that is going, and I'm kind of talk about a little bit of like unsolicited advice and how it can get us to hopefully a different place. So with the building, there's 11 tenants. The goal is to create the undeveloped use space, which is about 20,000 square feet. Create one, an event space or gathering space. Two, a content creation studio where we can do podcasts, audio books, and digital media. And then there was going to be spaces where I would make individual office types for Black and brown, like a business incubator. And I have had unsolicited asks, probably close to 50 or more, around a co-working space. And every time somebody came to me, I would say no. You ever thought about doing a co-working space? Absolutely not. You want to do a co-working space? Nope. Would you ever want to do? No, I just kept saying no. And finally, probably around like 25, I was like, okay, maybe this is not a coincidence. And so I kind of did a little research, started talking to people. And then I started asking. So I will ask you the question. I want you to throw this in the chat. For you, as white folks, where do you go to meet Black and brown entrepreneurs or professionals? Like, where's the location, the place? Coven, yep. But usually you're only going to meet women there, typically. But also, where do you go? Like, just curious, where do you go to meet? More through my network, yep. Breakfast, coffee. Yeah, Adam, but where though? Like, right, work. Brett, you work with a bunch of Black people? I'm teasing, I can do that. We'll have to get down, yep. Humans get together events wherever they feel safe, yep. Networking events, exactly. So there's no real like place that's focused on it. anti-capitalist business group. Yep. I'm not sure there's a space like this exists in Madison. Yep. Winter free. Yep. So that's the thing. Like there are a few different places and spaces, but there's not really a ton of like, yo, this is where I go for that. They're like, oh, here's this group. Here's this coffee shop that we know people frequently visit. Here is this types of events that typically those people are at. But there's not like, yo, this is the spot that is dedicated to those Black and brown professionals, entrepreneurs. Now, and again, you can kind of vary it, but I've talked to all these people. I know the folks at the Coven. I know Ariel, the Render Free, all these different people. And part of it is, where do you go on the north side? So outside of the Get Down, outside of a restaurant, outside of the places that you just happen to find out and know that our people are referring, you don't really have a specific place. And so we are exploring with no commitment, exploring what a membership model would look like for a co-working space inside my building. Average co-working prices are like, well, in person without a desk are like 125 to like 225. WeWork is charging a ridiculous amount of money. But yeah, it's just one of those things where you're like, man, there can be a space. And then the other thing is, if you're Black and brown, I'll give Grays as an example. Sorry, I don't know who the heck that is. I'll give Grays Provisions or Malcolm Yards, for example. When I walk in, I hear Taylor Swift and Imagine Dragons and a bunch of other folks, which is nothing wrong with them. I actually really like those. But every now and then, I just want to go in there and I just want to hear some old school R&B, you know, some Outkast, and go, this is it. And so my goal is, if we think that this is a viable model, we will kind of move down that road and create a space within this large commercial real estate space for people specifically around collaboration, around culture, and around connecting in community. So that's just kind of an update. Don't worry, just roll with us. And I've already talked to the powers that be in the community, and they're like, oh man, that's really dope. It would be great. And yes, we think you should do it. So it will be a place that will be specifically created for Black and brown entrepreneurs and professionals. But of course, you know me well enough to know it's inclusive, because you need a place to go to meet people as well. And then it just so happened, if you're like sitting down having coffee and you're drinking the coffee that's also owned by the Black man who owns the space, hint, hint, clue, clue, then you could like go, hey, do you guys ever rent out this space? Absolutely. We have an event space right there. Let me go give you a tour. And then it becomes all these different verticals within the space. So Brad, whenever you're like, yo, I want to hold up some community meetings, I have a place to do that. Jenny, whenever we're trying to bring some of these church folks back into the hood, we have a place to go. We got all these different things that we can create. Yes. So that is kind of where we're at. That's just an update. Don't ask me any questions, please. Unless you have a business model that I can copy without plagiarizing and going to jail. So I'll take it. But yeah, we're excited about that closing soon. And there's a bunch of you who've been still connected. And so thank you for all that you have done. Now, here's where we are. February 11th, 2023. We've met. I have a list of how many people, I don't even know, hundreds of folks that are connected. And I have been asking the question, what are people still doing? What are you doing as it pertains to anti-racism work? What are you doing pertains to changing the inequities, inequalities, changing the scope of where we were prior to George Floyd's murder, which is really what sparked all of this and got us here. If you haven't been living under a rock, there was a man by the name of Tyree Nichols who was beaten by the police and died. And every conversation, not everyone, most of the conversations that I've been in, it never fails where some white person brings up, but the police officers were Black. And I always go, so what? Literally. So what? How do we continue to create change? And so I would love to maybe spend 5 or so minutes. And we can do this in groups. I see a bunch of people moving around. So you can actually just give me like a 1 if we should do groups, smaller groups, or 2 if we should do it collectively. So just kind of answering that question. And here's what I don't want you to do. I don't want you to just talk about what needs to be done. What are you actively doing? Like, you should literally start the conversation off by saying, I have been, insert action. If you cannot do that, it's just going to be a bunch of words and it's just going to kind of distract. And hopefully I'm not putting so much pressure on you, but I really want you to think about it. What have you been doing to change or to do the work of anti-racism, all of that, all of the different ways that I just proposed it? Because I am seeing many companies, and this is why I got bored, or I get bored, many companies pull back, fire. I was just talking to a company yesterday. I was amazed. They have lost their head DEI person, their facilitator, the commitments that they made 2 or 3 years ago. I'm talking to staff people, and they're like, if these are happening, I don't even know where. Let me know. If these conversations are supposed to be happening that we committed to, nobody knows about them. And I know for sure my senior executive is not promoting them. I was like, oh, damn. Right. So if there are things that you have been doing, I would love for us to talk about it. And this is not to shame people, but this is an exercise that I think it's important for us to realize that because time goes on, because this work is not easy and it's very complex, there are things that we get tired with. And so I'm trying to figure out, how do we not lose the energy and the excitement and the zeal for doing the work, but also what was done 2 years ago should be either evolved, enhanced, or increased right now. So I didn't see any hands, so maybe we just take like 1 to 5 people if you want to just kind of share. I actually think if we do it in groups, it might take too long. Sorry. So anybody bold enough to share? Yes, Jess, go for it.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes. Also, before you start,
okay.
you can also throw whatever you are doing in the chat as well. Go for it, Jess.
Okay, so regarding sharing what I'm doing, I am still working with a local organization, Urban Triage, and we are going through essentially a lesson plan put together by Brandy Grayson, who's the CEO. We still have to run it by her, but we're trying to curate something for her that can be sustainable and then used in other places in the United States. That is her like main goal or whatever. I'm slowly becoming involved in an organization called Nehemiah. They have a really great Black
Man, I ain't heard
history
that in a
course.
while. Yeah.
Yeah? Yeah,
Yep.
do you know Reverend G?
Yep.
Yeah, rock on. So that was an amazing course. I've met some amazing people. And part of this was 2 years ago. I had no connection with any organization, didn't know where to begin. And you all have been really welcoming, even though you're so far away. It's been a wonderful experience.
Last one.
Last one, not sure this is completely anti-racist, but I feel like I've seen some things. I am working with a local elementary school. The majority of the children there are Black children. I have noticed a couple things that really pissed me off in regard to how some of the little girls were treated. But I'll tell you, the best thing in the world is when you have random kids run up to you and hug you. I don't have any children. And I'm teaching them music, and I don't have a music degree, and we're learning the Lion King, and I'm teaching them the Zulu pronunciation as dictated by Disney, and they love it, and it's been really amazing, really amazing.
That's what's up. Thank you. Anybody else want to share? Don't be shy now.
Yeah, I can go.
Go for it.
Yeah, so a few things. my partner and I actively have decided to create date nights that circle around and concentrate on Black-owned businesses and Black folks in the community and things going on in the community that are BIPOC focused. I've also been recruiting BIPOC folks for an organization I'm part of called Creative Change to make sure that the makeup of that organization is more representative. Because I know that their contributions can be much better than the contributions of the folks that I know who are white. Yeah, just continuing reading and listening to podcasts, that type of thing. And actively, I think Holly said this in the last meeting that we were in, just actively looking for opportunities to be anti-racist in everything that you do in everyday life, I think is like the ongoing thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Awesome. Thank you. Got anybody else that wants to share? And just as you go ahead, Mike, I'll see you in a second. Just so you know, right, this isn't a like, and I think you all know this, but this isn't a like, oh, look at me, here's what I'm doing. This is like to help give you advice or ideas, or to talk to people that are humans that are not me, that you can hear are actually still doing some stuff to just kind of spark, oh yeah, that makes sense. Go ahead, Maggie.
I am a part of my daughter's DEI group at her elementary school, which has been eye-opening, we'll say that. And so, but within just like being a part of that DEI group, asking the questions when things aren't going forward of like, okay, I hear that you say no to this. Can we talk about why? What what are the things? So I live in Minnetonka, so we'll just say that. And so the moving all of those things forward in trying to understand on both ends. That's that's more on the personal end. And then I own my own company, and business wise, just continuing to say out loud, like my business focuses on BIPOC owned businesses, and that has been incredible. And then within the businesses I'm working with, understanding their community and investing in their community, and things like that. So that's just a couple things.
Yep. I would add showing up to that point, right? Showing up in those places, in those communities that you say you want to be involved in too. I know a lot of you do that. So thank you. Molly, go for it. You might be our last one.
Sounds good. I'm a stay-at-home mom, as some of you know, so my main sphere of influence is with my daughters. And I think I have been conscious of like continually bringing up BIPOC issues, whatever it affects, when it's not in the news, or when not when something big happens, just like everyday conversations. So that's what I've been focused on.
I love it. I love the 3 or 4, I don't know how many it was. Like there's every level that you can engage, right? There are multiple ways to engage, and you know that. I think the trick has always been like, how do we continue moving, right? And so I see the stuff that's thrown in the chat, which I think is amazing. One of the things, the chat is so rich. I appreciate y'all. Man, we've grown so far. The chat used to be terrible. So thank you for not being hecklers. I went to go revisit this book called What Got You Here Won't Get You Here by Marshall Goldsmith, and more for like a professional development piece. And I was reading something that I thought was really fitting, I would say, maybe for our conversation. And it was actually about unsolicited feedback. I thought it was really crazy. And he basically was talking about like these quadrants, and I won't necessarily put it up, but one of the quadrants was titled like private knowledge, right? What is known to us and what's unknown to others. And he was talking about how he was like giving this presentation, and this has happened to me a few times. So he's like giving this presentation, talking to people about whatever the topic is. And I guess during the presentation, he's like facing this one person. He's looking at this one person, but he's addressing the group. And so the person responded and said, "Hey, who are you talking to?" And he said, the group. And he said, well, it seems like you're actually focusing on one particular person. And they kind of have this banter going back and forth. And the author basically shares that he was frustrated because he was like, I didn't think so. And it took me like 6 months. It took him like 6 months to realize that the person that he was actually looking at was himself. And he was upset because as he was talking about the things that he was passionate about, as he was showing up in the places where he said that passion was in line with, he had started to find and discover this private stuff that actually was unknown to him. I mean, so it was known to other people, was unknown to him. And he was like, man, I know that I'm not doing every single thing that I'm supposed to be doing. But here I am teaching and talking to people about the very same things that I'm not actually doing. And it was mind blowing to like hear him like in this like self-discovery. And so I wrote a couple of notes that I want to kind of just share. He said, the interesting stuff is the information that it can be known to others, but unknown to us. When that information is revealed, there are road to Damascus moments that create dramatic change. There are moments when we can actually be blindsided by how others actually see us when we would discover a truth about ourselves. These blindside moments can be rare and precious moments. Later on, he goes on to say, here are 2 great lessons that have literally shaped how my professional work is. It is a lot easier to see our problems in others than it is to see them in ourselves. And even though we may be able to deny our problems to ourselves, they may be very obvious to the people who are observing us. And I think that only comes, like I agree and I kind of disagree to some degree. When you are in a space where you are in a communal space, you have trust built, you have intentionality built around and transparency, you start seeing things because other people are seeing them, and you need that kind of feedback. This was and is the place for that. And also, it cannot be the only space that you get feedback, that someone poses a different idea, that someone challenges you, or someone is reminding you that you have these goals that you said that you wanted to create and then you didn't actually do them, right? Or you did them and you now you need to create more. We have to start paying attention to those places. I think the other side that I see is like, there are things that we know we talk about, but also that we don't always follow through on. I will be the first person to tell you in the last month, I have hit snooze more times than I've ever done in my life, right? And I could say, oh, it's because I've been tired. Oh, it's because I've been working a lot. Oh, it's because I've been stressed out or whatever. But the moment I get on my son about not being up at the time he's supposed to be at, I just feel that little right here, right? And that's just a personal note. And the same thing happens to me, and it happens less because I don't like that feeling, right? I don't really like the feeling of being a person who doesn't do what he says he's going to do, because one of my core values is integrity. When I'm having conversations with people around this work, I just see a lot of folks, and not you, right? I just see a lot of people who aren't actually doing the stuff, and they're hitting snooze on their goals, on their mission statements, on the activities, on the relationships with people that they have in their lives. And some of you, I'm so grateful, man. I'm like beyond grateful. You have no idea. Like the stories that you share with me, the text messages, the voice memos, whatever those things are, it's been so amazing because I take those to other people and go like, yo, I just met this person online. And we have like a connection now, right? Here are things that people are actually doing and they feel confident or a safe space to actually trust me in this work. And also, at the same time, I know that you and I will welcome the pushback of maybe we should be thinking about more. And so that's what I wanted our time to be, is like, how do we continue to do the work? I have no idea. I didn't have an idea what this was supposed to be in the beginning. I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna just show up. That seems to be my MO, right? Hey, here's an idea of what I think could happen. Let's just see where it goes. It happened with the building. It's happening even now. We're having a conversation right now at Hall STEM Academy / Elizabeth Hall. And Jess, have you dropped off anything recently? Not in a pressure situation. You still doing snacks with your people? I know that was really random. I caught you off guard. I'm sorry. Okay, I have not got it. So we are in a conversation, and I'm trying to we've been doing food in different random places. Sorry, not random places, with random groups of people at elementary school. And I just met a woman who's based, I think, in Texas. I can't remember where, who has a food tech business. Mind blowing. I never even thought about this. Where she creates grocery stores inside the public school system. Healthy food options, canned goods, all these different things, but stuff that people actually want. And she's got 50 of them across the country. The company's called Goodr, Goodr. You can look it up. Super dope. And I'm like, how come? I know I'm not the first person to think about this. Clearly, she has a whole business, right? But where is the innovativeness that we are creating? And then sometimes it doesn't even need to be that innovative. It could just be, hey, here's a local place that we know needs something. How do we just show up and support and develop some consistency, develop some resources, and put things into it? That's those are the things that I think about. There's so much power and so much knowledge in this group and folks that aren't even here. And when we say we want to combat this, this as in anti-racism, this as in the administration, this as in the system, this as in white supremacy, this as in fill in the gaps. How are we actually doing that? So that's more of a rhetorical question, but I really want you to be thinking about hey, what else am I supposed to be doing? So for some of us, we took the IDI and had some goals and some stuff. And I don't know if you all have revisited those with other people, or you've taken it again, or you want to take it again. There's all types of things. I thought about putting out another survey, and I didn't. I was just I don't feel like creating it again. But I think there are spaces where we're where are we at? What are we doing? And for me, I now have to shift. Don't hear this in a bad way at all, but I have to shift. The whole purpose of the building was to shift something to a centralized location, right? How do I have this list of 2,000 people from literally across the world at this point, and how do I bring them to Minneapolis and create an activation? I'm gonna put you on the spot real quick, but Sean was in town, and the simple fact that he was like, yo, I'm gonna be in town and I would love to actually see you in person. I'm like, literally, that just warmed my soul. And that when we got a chance to just connect for a super short time, but it was great to me, at least. Hopefully it was good for you. But also there are people that you're connected to that also would love to activate and do that. And so it's what are we doing? How are we doing it? I just know I can't always commit to doing a Saturday call just to where my life is. And I'm not supposed to be the one that stays doing it. I've understood, when I've done that presentation about role, goal, soul, I understand my role more clearly now than probably ever before. I don't like it. I'll just be honest. I don't like that I have to be the person, Dave, I'm gonna just throw this super side comment, that sits in a presentation and goes, man, this is hella shallow. I don't like that sometimes when people ask me questions, I cannot lie to them and I give them an honest answer, an honest opinion about my thoughts. I don't always like that. I promise you. I literally had to defend myself with my wife and a couple other people to explain yo, I don't intentionally try to be a jerk. But the way that I'm wired and the role that I know that I have is to push and challenge and to do it in an authentic, loving way, right? And so it's like, how do we keep doing this? Locally, the reason also why I'm becoming more centralized, there's an Aldi's that's like 4 blocks from my house that literally just announced that they are leaving the neighborhood because their lease is up. And 3 days later, Walgreens decided, hey, we're leaving the neighborhood as well. In my mind, I'm like, how in the world can you just up and leave? Yeah, they did. Yeah, they rallied. So the other part, right? There are people, and I will say this about the people who own the Aldi's location, Wellington Management. I know David Wellington. He actually texted me before to let me know that it was happening, and also said we are in conversations right now with 5 different potential grocers to make sure that that community, like my community, is taken care of. And that wasn't a like, hey, I want to save face. That was like, I just want you to know, because when this comes out, they're gonna drag me. And I was like, yep, just good point. I'm glad you know that. And so it's just one of those things where it's like, is there a way to rally and do something like I'm trying to do now and buy a building? What if all of us collectively, and I don't know how much money you have or don't have, let's just say it costs $1,000, right, to purchase, because that has happened before, commercial real estate. That's a whole nother talk. Let's just say it costs $1,000. Let's just say it costs $10,000 to purchase the Walgreens, and then you get a person from community, Black and brown folks, whoever it may be, that is dedicated to that community, and they are a pharmacist or are in the process of owning their own whatever, or you partner with a business that says we want to make sure we change the face of what pharmaceuticals actually looks like in the community, and we just bought the building. Like, those are the radical ideas that I've actually gotten from you all, from having conversations, from continuing to push the envelope. What if every school that we know is underperforming because literacy continues to be a thing that people just skip over, but half of the time kids can't read because they're literally hungry? And what if we took away a couple of those, barriers? I don't know. I'm just saying. I would actually go to Brett for that actual answer, but Brett and Brad, those are they're all my 2 go-tos. But I'm just saying, right? How are we actively going? I don't think, and you can quote me saying this, I don't think that, feel terrible for saying this, I don't think that I'm going to be able to change the policing structure in Minneapolis or in any county or any country. We can have conversations. We can push legislation, right? But I don't think individually we are going to change how policing has been shifted or jacked up in this entire country. I do think, though, we can influence it. I do think we can move towards some policy change, divesting, all these different things that could happen. I don't care what it is. What are the goals? This is the question, the proactive question for you. What are your goals that you're working towards as it pertains to this work? And then there's a parentheses in your parenting, in your communal relationships, at your job, in your neighborhood, in your place of worship, at your poker game. I don't care where the spaces are, in your dog community, whatever. Because if we don't keep it in front of us, then we'll just keep having the same conversations. And I just don't like having the same conversations over and over with it, whether it's with my kids or it's with y'all. So I know y'all are probably like, what in the world? I just we gotta start moving towards action. And here's one maybe side note, and then I'll kind of open it up. There's a new movie out called Devotion. Anybody seen it yet? I literally just discovered it, and they didn't do a lot of press. I don't remember what station it's on. Streaming platform. It's on a streaming platform. Super good movie. Me and Tyler were crying at the end. It doesn't take much for me to cry, by the way. But so the premise of the movie, there's a black aviator, and it's a black aviator, and he's fight. It's like based on the North and South Korean War, but it's like right in between it. So it's like a story that most people have never heard of. It's based on the true story. Black aviator, all this stuff that he's fought, a naval aviator on top of that, all this stuff that he's fought to get to where he's at. They bring in this they bring in this very well decorated white guy who has to be the wingman for the black aviator, and they kind of have this relationship, and you get to see the black aviator go through his process of like pumping himself up, talking about his fears, but also opening up his life to the wingman. And I won't tell you what happens, but there was a point in the movie where the white aviator was like, "I'm not leaving you," right? He's like, I've learned enough. I'm not leaving you. And they go on and tell this whole story. And at the end of the movie, it was super dope because they showed the son of the white aviator and the great granddaughter of the black aviator and how their families are connected. They've been connected for forever. They're making sure that they keep telling the stories and all these different things. And I was like, yo, that was the best part of the entire movie. The simple fact that something that happened literally years ago impacted two families so deeply that they have made sure that the legacy of their relationship, their meeting, their conversation, their fights, their challenges, they're two different ways that they saw the world, that it stays in like real time. And I was like, yes, this is it, right? So 40 years from now, Lord given we're all here, will we be able to say that? Maybe you forget about the meeting. I don't know. But maybe you don't forget about the conversations that we've been having. Maybe your great grandkids and however many of those other people that we create or adopt or whatever walk into a space in North Minneapolis and go, man, I remember my Mima told me about this space, right? Like maybe there's a thing where you're like, yo, we've been talking about this and this is part of the legacy and this how this neighborhood has evolved and shifted. And here's how, my family showed up on behalf of, these people. Like, is that the legacy that we want to leave? I believe so. But in order to create that, and it starts with daily decisions, daily conversations. So that's really what I just wanted to empower you to figure out, hey, how are we doing it? What are we going to do with these calls? I have no idea. I honestly, I meant what I said. If it would have been like 12 of y'all that just showed up, I wouldn't even said anything. I was just rolled off into the sunset. You wouldn't have not got another email. It would have just been like, but what I do appreciate is there have been people, men and women, that were like, hey, we should start meeting up. And I was like, yes, we should. So I may be there. I may not. But I am all for facilitating and helping structure this. Last thing I'll say, and I'll open up. There are, I know I said that before. It's like a black preacher. It's like my third close. We are finally now in the phase of like we're moving. So there's a few of us that have had conversations, and I actually owe y'all a response. I finally got that kind of wrapped out. And then there's just a bunch of other stuff that I'm like, yo, we got to get this done. And I can't do everything. I need to, I'm trying to do a better job of letting you know and being honest. I cannot do everything. Now, there are people who have said, yes, give it to me. And I haven't given it to you. I will own that. And also, sometimes you got to just keep reminding me. Some people ask, though, and I need you to stick around a little bit longer because I need to see if you're going to be committed. And I think you should also do that to other people. Like when people come in high they come back down just as fast. And so together, I think we can kind of like facilitate or kind of self-regulate. But I've thought about like, do we as a group, whether it's men and women together or it's just individually, if it's locally, however we do it, like setting some, here's what we want to accomplish. And we start working towards that thing. Maybe there's priorities. I don't know. Maybe it's we just meet for the accountability and you check in and we know that we're working towards some stuff. And then I pop in when you need me. I don't know. I know when this building is actually in my possession, we will be doing meetups and all these different things. And so I'm willing to host and everything. But for my people who are not in town, that's not going to help you. And so we got to figure out what works so that you can feel supported and feel needed. So I'm going to stop. I never open my emails. Got it. Thanks, Megan. I'm glad you didn't. So I'm gonna stop talking. Any questions, any thoughts, any feedback? Or you can just leave. I'm not gonna hold you hostage, but some of you I haven't talked in a while. I'm sure you might have questions. So, or send me a text. Everybody, I'll throw my number in there. I think everybody has it at this point. But does this make sense? Am I crazy? I didn't think so. Okay.
We had a message going around in our chat with the guys about trying to start up again, whether Jesse joined us or not. And the thought that went through my head was, okay, Jesse's been dragging our ass along for 2 years now. It's time for us to step up. We can't be depending on him to light a fire under us. It's our turn. If we're serious about why we showed up in the first place, we'll figure out a way. It might look different, and that's okay, but we'll figure something out, and we won't just let it die on the vine.
Absolutely. I appreciate you sharing that. Anybody have any questions, any thoughts? Because you know me, hey, we can end this joint. I don't want to make it awkward. Go for it, Robin.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for hosting this, and I've really missed them. And I missed their name. I'm sorry, the last person that just spoke, but yeah, and I'm very grateful for Jess that started the email for the women. So I'm looking forward to jumping back in. So thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And it's so good to see you. I know life happened too. So thank you for jumping on. I appreciate you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And it's really nice too to be able to jump on too, because for some reason in Colorado, it's really hard to find a lot of like anti-racism groups, and I've been actively seeking it out. So I appreciate being able to join you guys up in Minnesota and elsewhere. So thanks.
Absolutely. Appreciate it. Yeah, I echo Brett. I echo that. A huge note of gratitude to all of you. Like, this isn't easy. And out of the, however many people that are actually on the list, like you chose, and there are people who said that they were busy, but like you continue to show up, and I'm grateful for that. Very, very, very grateful beyond your even capacity to understand. Angela, go for it.
Thank you. So I feel like, and I mean, I have a lot of work to do, and I really appreciate the space. And I feel like sometimes not the only, but the best way I can help is with my skills. I'm a photographer, I do digital media, etc. So like, I'm always willing to offer that if it's going to help. And we do offer pro bono work for nonprofits with racial justice. So like, know that if there's any way that I can physically provide my skill set of behind the camera for photos for anything that would help lift everything up, I'm there for that. But I feel like that's like the only way I feel like I can truly like offer something tangible. And I'm sure you hear this a lot from like white people who are like, how can I really help and give you something tangible to use? But if that is helpful, know that that is on the table for anything in Minneapolis.
Yeah, actually, I owe you a text message, so I'm going to say right now, I actually need to take some pictures in front of the building. Can we do that?
Absolutely. And know that I'm happy to do that pro bono for you.
Oh, that would be
Getting this
amazing.
out here. So
That would be amazing. Yep.
Yeah,
That
Jesse, can I jump in on that?
yeah.
Yeah, so Angela, that's really cool. And then I just saw something in the chat that there's this skills list. Is this skills list something like, is that only for the cooler, superior women group? Is this like, where does that live? Because honestly, there's stuff. Exactly. Yeah, Angela's like, I want to be on there. Same. I'm like, I can jump in to support things. And also, I would love to know when to lean on people or like who is interested in sharing that stuff. Because I suck at asking for help and do need help with some of the things that we're working on. So, what is this list and like where does it live? How does it access? Is it shared with this whole group or yeah? Tell me more.
We will send it out to those of you all who attended. It did just live with the women, not intentionally. It was just something we talked about on a call. I actually didn't come up with the idea, Brad, just so you know. But yeah, we will share that out with the recording, and I don't think I'm leaving the house, so I can make sure that it goes out. I actually would rather, Megan, I got you. I actually would rather. Oh, I did know that. Duh. I actually would rather us move into something like that, right? Having a like, hey, I need help with this, or I've been thinking through this. We tried it a few different ways, and I just don't think we had a system. But there's a group called Hands On Twin Cities that a lot of people know, and they have systematized how to do this really, really, really well. And I get a lot of people who come to me and say, hey, we need this like skill set to help such and such do this thing. And I actually never know who to contact, which is why I started doing the random kind of social media posts. It would be amazing to have a list of us to say like this person is like skilled in this, trained in this or whatever, and then like interested in this, because sometimes you're doing stuff that doesn't really give you energy and passion. And so I'll make sure I get that out. And then I think the challenge is we have to activate, because that is usually what doesn't happen. So yes, Megan.
What I was going to say with the skill set, something that I think we should add, and I don't remember if it was Molly who owned that Word doc or Google Doc or who owned it, but also adding like maybe a column for our major connections.
Yes.
People in power, whether it be people in power, people in the news world, that would be good, so that we can also share those connections when you need them.
Yeah.
Since we don't always know everything you're doing and thinking, it'd be better to at least provide like some of the top line ones so that you know that we have those connections. And then I threw it in the chat, but wanted to just say it out loud. If anybody, since we have the broader group today, if anybody else works at Best Buy, whether it's in the field or corporate, would love to chat offline. I am at corporate and I've been doing anything and everything within Inclusion University, but would love to have a second person in there pushing to get Jesse's coffee on campus and just doing more.
Yeah, no, I love that. And Adam just threw his contact in there. He's at Medtronic. I think there's a Target Slack as well with a bunch of folks. Target be showing, and this is no diss to any other company, but the Target Slack people are amazing because they be recruiting all types of random people to do stuff, and I love it. Yes, so let's do that. I was actually, dang it, I lost it that fast. Oh, intentional drip. I want to highlight Allison real quick because she's dope and I called her out the blue yesterday. Allison, remind me which science museum? Is it Children's Science?
The Minnesota Children's Museum.
Thank you. Minnesota Children. It's too long of a name. She has bought coffee now twice for the company, and I was on a separate meeting. And the first thing they said when they jumped on the call was like, man, we love your coffee. I was like, I didn't even know you had it because I didn't make the connection. And so they are actually our first actual B2B vendor business, whatever that is, buying intentional drip. I would love to have at least 10 more. That would be amazing. I also would love to find someone who was amazing, like project manager, or you have experience in retail and you just want to help blow the coffee stuff up, because that's not what I do, clearly. So Yeah, that's good. I think, yeah, there goes the spreadsheet. Thank you. I was gonna say we'll just send it out. I still will send it out, but I think that that's part of it, right? It's like, how do we continue to use our skill set? Dan, I owe you a phone call. I've been thinking about that project management conversation we've had 6 months ago. Literally, it comes up in a bunch of different things because I did a presentation for IPM. Is that the name of it? Dang. Some national project management conference. And I have probably 100 people that have taken the DISC assessment just because I offered it as a free thing. And I was like, yo, these people actually really like this. This is good. So yeah, I don't know. Any other questions, any thoughts, anything I can answer? I almost went on the soapbox, so I'm trying to stay focused. My bad. Katie, I still owe you a coffee meeting. I know. Okay, I'm looking around. Okay, well, it seems like there are no more questions. Thank you. Oh, go ahead, Simon. My bad. Oh, that was peace. Okay. I appreciate y'all. Thank you so much. We'll probably, honestly, let me just say this. We will probably do a monthly group call like this because it's just easier for me. And then I will offer any solo time that you all want to, and you can use my Zoom. You don't have to worry about anybody's other stuff, and we can figure that out. I just know I can't commit to 3 calls. I honestly can't even commit to 2 calls at the moment. And so we can structure that and figure that out. But I would love to at least see y'all monthly, and then we make it happen. So I hope you all have a wonderful day, wonderful weekend. Go celebrate Black History Month somewhere, encourage other people to as well. And then right after that, we got Women's History Month. So let's start making that happen as well. All right, y'all. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, Jesse. Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Peace.